Welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I'm Miles Vance. It's no secret that here in Florida, hurricanes are an inevitability. However, there are things that you can do and things that your county government can do to help lessen the impact of these storms. Joining me today is Commissioner Rick Wilson, alongside Emergency Management Director Paul Womble. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
All right. Paul, could I have you start by describing your role for our residents, just what you do in a daily basis and then what you do when the storms come?
Sure. So day to day, our job is to make sure that the county, and not just the entire county, right? The cities and our private sector partners, nonprofit, faith-based, the whole team, right? We're ready to go. Part of that's my team maintains the 911 system. We don't answer the calls, but we make sure that technology works. Mm-hmm. County's public safety radio system to make sure our first responders can talk and get to folks that need help. And then what we call traditional emergency management, which really is just disaster preparedness and really making sure everything, systems and processes and people, we all know each other and we're ready to go in case it's a bad day in Polk County.
Right. So you work from before the storm to during the storm, and then presuming helping with cleanup afterwards. And
right.
The whole gambit.
That's right.
Yeah. Commissioner Wilson, how does the board work with the Emergency Management Division to prepare for storms and to work to create laws and precedent and all these things for when the storm arrives?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things already in place. Mm-hmm. I mean, our main object, our goal is to make sure that Paul and his team, they have what they need to need to do the job. It is a big undertaking, with all the people that are involved in it during a storm or catastrophe, but just during the year, getting ready and what they do out there. Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good handful. I don't know how many work out there on a daily basis, but to be ready, so when that day does come, then the county and his team are ready to go, along with other teams in the county, other people that's involved in it, or state or federal. Mm-hmm. And it's a big undertaking, and they do an absolute amazing job. So we make sure they have what they need to have.
And there's so much communication going on there between the local level government to the state level to the federal to the private sector, as you were mentioning, and the faith-based, everybody working together. And it's really an inspiring sight to see every member of the community come together, before, during, and after a storm. I guess one aspect of the local government working to prepare for emergencies is this new Emergency Management Operations Special Needs Warehouse. Paul, could you talk a little bit about what this warehouse is, what it offers for our residents, why we're doing this?
Yeah, our special needs program is just one of those things that we do every day. It's really for our residents that they might need extra help in an emergency. That generally that means they've got some kind of medical equipment that needs electricity. Right. They got to plug in to stay alive and well, right? If we have a storm, if we have a hurricane, very likely power is going to go out. So if you've got an oxygen concentrator or some other type of equipment, or you just need a place to go and you need additional help above what our general population shelters would provide. So that program is there. We work very closely with Polk County Public Schools, the Sheriff's Office, and of course the Department of Health to staff those. We have 3 of those shelters in Polk County. But the warehouse is us becoming better prepared. Mm. We have cots and wheelchairs and supplies and equipment that, quite frankly, were stored in many different places. We had some temporary storage that we had put together at the new EOC, but it's not new anymore. That's been 15 years ago. So we needed all that equipment to be inventoried and on pallets and ready to go. So we're better prepared. So that's what this facility lets us do.
And it sounds like a simple step, but it's really something that's going to help centralize and make the efforts so much easier. So can you talk about maybe some other lessons that you might have learned from, for example, last year's Hurricane Milton?
Yeah, we did. We always activate our special needs shelters, in hurricanes. Mm-hmm. And we always want to learn and do better. It's not that we make mistakes, but you can always do things better, right? So part of that, we've got between the 3 shelters, we have enough, we had about 2,000 spaces in those 3 special needs shelters. So in theory, we need a cot for everybody, and we need supplies to support that, and the staff. A big part of that program is training. So now that things for 2 of the 2 schools that we store things for in the warehouse, it lets us have an accurate inventory. We know we've got a little bit of a gap as far as the number of cots because we changed schools this year. We went from McKeel Academy High School, which only had about 250 shelter spaces, to Tenorock High School, which is about 850 spaces. Wow. So we're really having, we've got an accurate inventory. We're able to count and see and understand the gaps. And that's part of getting better, right? Is identifying your gaps and then figure out how to, how do you fund, 800 cots, 600 cots, whatever it is, and additional processes and plans built around those increased capacity in that new shelter.
Absolutely. You mentioned the special needs shelters, and residents are encouraged to sign up beforehand for access to these shelters, correct?
That's right. We encourage them to pre-register. You can find that information on the county website at www.polk-county.net, or you can call our office at 863-298-7000 and speak with our special needs coordinator. And it helps us plan. It helps us, do those planning activities before the storm gets here, right? So we make sure that we have the team and the capabilities ready to go to take care of our residents when they need it the most.
And what about for our residents who are maybe not planning on using the special needs shelters? Maybe they're not even planning on using any shelters, but they want to be proactive and they want to start preparing now in July before it gets into the real dog days and the real danger days of summer with the hurricanes.
Yeah, so if everyone should have a family and a business disaster plan, but for your family, do you have a safe place to go? We don't have evacuation zones like coastal counties here, so you won't see us, with evacuation orders and zones, for example. But where do you need to go? Do you have supplies, food, water? What happens if the power goes out? Insurance is important. We learned in Milton that flood insurance is super important. And you may not live in a designated flood zone, but you can still flood. So everyone needs to really take a good look at your personal situation, your family, your house, what work expects of you, and all those things. And that's what your family disaster plan should be based on.
Commissioner Wilson, obviously last year we saw unprecedented levels of flooding and there was a very widespread recovery effort. I was wondering, what role does the county play in recovery after a hurricane? And this year, when looking forward to the next hurricane season, what are your plans for that continued cleanup effort and to ensure that these storms do not have a lasting impact on the residents of the county?
Well, that's a really big question to answer because, in the previous, in most of the hurricanes, the major hurricanes that we've had, there've been some damage. Mainly a lot of trees down. I can remember back, I think it was in 07, 08 when we had the 3 hurricanes. We had a lot of rooftop damages, but we hadn't had a lot of hurricanes before then.
Right.
Now I'm not seeing as much rooftop damage of getting, the roofs blown off because most people, their roof's already been blown off and they have repaired or got a new roof. And the insurance have stepped up to, you got to have decent roofs on it. But, we just try to stay prepared for them, and people need to. I've lived in this county all my life, so I've been through a lot of hurricanes. And when a hurricane comes or is coming, I know what I need to do. But there's a lot of people that's moved here, has not been here during a hurricane. You need to follow the instructions of what Paul just said, being prepared. I think people panic when, and they should if they're not prepared, and their power goes out. Well, we have power outages now during the summertime, and they're out for 2 or 3 hours. We're talking maybe 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 days, or 2 or 3 weeks, and that's when people really get, upset, or really don't know what to do. So be prepared. They're not fun. I hate them. I want to make a kind of a little bit of a joke here. A guy told me one time, it's kind of like Mike Tyson calling you up with the future forecasting that we have. I mean, we know weeks ahead of time it's out there. Oh, there's a possibility it's coming. It could come this way now. Well, it's kind of like Mike Tyson calling you up and say, hey, I'm going to be over at your house in a couple weeks, and I'm going to beat you up real bad. And we sit there and wait on him. That's what we do. And there's a lot of people that leave here or try to get away from the storms, but most of the people in Polk County, we stay and try to take care of our stuff. I just want to remind people, stuff's just stuff. If it's a big hurricane, you need to think about going. Your family is more important than anything. But I just want to say this: being that we have had so many hurricanes over the years, and a lot of other places in this state, they might not have got hit quite as bad as we have, but Paul and his team, they do an amazing job because we've been through it. We know what to do. We've learned from it. And the partners that we have with, even in Polk County, municipalities, the state, our delegation, our legislative people that help. We do a lot of great things and get it done pretty quick. So it's tough. We don't like it, but we have to deal with it if you're going to live here.
Absolutely. One thing you touched on there that I think is really important, really impressive to me as someone who's lived in the county for about a year now is seeing the response, seeing the way that everybody in the community comes together after the storm and works together, whether it's public government organizations and private businesses working together. Everybody comes together.
They do, and it's just you got to have patience. It's hard to have patience when you got a tree limb through your roof, it's raining, and you don't have any electricity. Mm-hmm. But you got to have patience to get. We're here to help. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember, there's almost 900,000 people in this county, and a lot of them got hit hard or will get hit hard. And we're trying to help everybody I can. That's one thing I can say about Polk County. All the differences in this world, when we have something like that, everybody comes together and works together. And our resources, the county, our EOC is there to do that. You just got to have patience and be prepared.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Paul, I'll leave the last word to you. One more time, reiterate the number people call and the website they can go to if they have questions or if they want to learn more about hurricane preparedness.
Yeah, you can visit the county website at www.polk-county.net, or you can call the Emergency Management Division at 863-298-7000.
All right, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.